Oh man, do we have a special video for you today. The patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right here in Tel Bersheva. This is where Abraham was, and he dug his well. This is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was. Okay, well, Tel Bersheva, where we're at right now, is located 70 miles south of Jerusalem. This is where the patriarchs lived, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham was called here by God about 4,000 years ago to leave everything he had and come here by faith, and God would make of him a great nation and give a land. The covenant between God and Abraham we still see today. Abraham's seed became a great nation, and the land that was given is still here today as the nation of Israel, as the state of Israel. Welcome to the ancient ruins of Tel Bersheva. This is the place where Abraham pitched his tent after God called him into Israel to become a father of many nations. The story of Abraham, the story of Isaac and Jacob all went down right here nearly 4,000 years ago. And now you can see this place and understand why it should still matter to every believer today. So let's get going with the story of Abraham right here where it all happened. When we do these videos, we are going back in time. So today let's go way back and go to the book of Genesis and talk about the story of Abraham. Why is this place such a significant biblical site? This is where it all began, where Abraham comes after being told to leave Mesopotamia and leave everything he had and his family. He is leaving the center of urban civilization where he's lived his entire life. He was not a young man and he was prosperous to come to the middle of the Negev desert and become a shepherd. Talk about faith. The patriarchs all began right here with Abraham, and a leap of faith that he took as an established older man to give up all the security, financial, physical, and emotional, and to go where God told him just to go and I'll show you there. I mean, wow. I can only pray and strive to have that kind of commitment and faith. This very special place is listed 33 times in the Bible. Later it becomes a major city of the Israelites' kingdom through the first temple period. And Solomon even built gates here and fortified, and we'll see as we go. It's a fortified city and becomes the southern central city of Israel, and still till today, the modern Beersheba is considered the capital of the Negev with a population of 210,000 people. This became Abraham's homestead. This is where Isaac came back to, and Jacob come back for a little while. Remember, this is where Abraham pitched his tent. He did not build a house. He was a nomad in his own land. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob lived here. I can't say that enough. I mean, that's really something. Think about it. Right here where we're at, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob lived right here. It really is windy up here. I don't know if you can pick out the modern Beersheba in the background. They also have a model here of what the city looked like when it was at its prime. It all started with the well. Now just think about it. The well was dug here before anything was here. There was no ruins that we see here. So there was no buildings. There was no nothing. So the well was dug here before all of what we see here. Abraham was in a wide open space with land everywhere. So the land was not a problem. It was the water. He needed water. That was the problem. As we've mentioned quite a few times in this YouTube channel and these tours, water was a big deal for desert people. And they really understood the importance of water and what it all meant. Now later when they built this city, after Abraham and after everything, during the time of King David and Solomon, they, like always, like we talked about, they always have problems with water. And so this is the very huge and elaborate cistern they made at this location. So I'm going down in here and it's down deep. Down here in this cistern, you can see the chisel marks where they still stay from making these cisterns. Man, this thing is deep and it's cool in here. It's nice. Wow. This is the place where the conflict between Abraham and the Philistines took place. They take this well from Abraham. At the time, the land of the Philistines is where Gaza is today. So it's not that close to here. So even though they came here to take the well that Abraham had dug, it wasn't their land. This is east from their land into the desert. An interesting point to acknowledge is the first time actual borders were introduced was in the book of Joshua. So after the Philistines and it's just the regular Philistines, it's not by the king or anything. When the Philistines actually take Abraham's well, he complains to the king Abimelech at the time. So the king comes out with his general. As we read in Genesis 21, verses 22 to 25, and I'll read now. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, spake unto Abraham, saying, God is with thee in all that thou doest. Now therefore swear unto me here by God that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me, and to the land wherein thou hast sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. Then it goes on to say in Genesis 21 verses 29 and 30. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what means these 7 lambs which thou hast set by themselves? And he said, for these 7 lambs shalt thou take of my hand, and they may be a witness unto me that I have digged this well. So he was right here at the well when they had this conversation. Right here at the well. Well, here I am right at Abraham's well, the well that he dug. Man. Well, let me tell you something. I got some special offer for you guys. We need this channel to grow. So I figured the best way I could do it is somehow to also give back to you guys. So I went and I got these little tempered glass vials with a ring at the top you can put on your bracelet, you can put it on a shelf, or you can put it on your a necklace. And what I'll do is I'll put stuff in it that I think you guys might want. And so what'll happen is like here, I'll go and put the dirt of where Abraham dug his well inside this vial. Actually, I'll do it right now. So as you can see here, you got a little vial right there with the dirt from the well, from the ground where Abraham dug his well. So if you want this, all you got to do is tell your friends to subscribe to our channel. And when they do, just make them write a comment with your name. And then whoever has the most, I'll send this to them. If there's a tie, well, then we'll just put all the names that tied in a hat on TGR News, and we'll announce it who wins the tie. And also, if it's not a tie, on TGR News, we'll announce who wins this special piece of ground from Abraham's well. Well, sitting right here where Abraham dug his well, it really is emotional, like I said. Could you imagine being here when Abraham and Abimelech had that conversation right here? Wow. Really is something. So let's talk about Bersheva. Bersheva in Hebrew is Ber is well, and Sheva is 7 most of the time. But like a lot of words, a single word can have 2 separate meanings. Sheva, it means number 7, and it also means oath in Hebrew. Bersheva. So the same word has both the oath and the 7, and the same actions happened right here at the well. Abraham made an oath with Abimelech and gave him 7 lambs. Until today, like we said, the Bersheva, the main city, and everything here is still called Bersheva. It's for the oath that Abraham made with Abimelech and the 7 lambs. So it's the oath and the 7 together in one word. That's what Bersheva means. So it's always amazing to me when you read the Bible in Hebrew and you understand the meanings, how much more meaning things have when you read it in the original text. And it really is a blessing. And when you think about it, how even the word just so happened to be that fit for what happened here is the same word for 7 and oath, and that's exactly what Abraham did. I mean, that's amazing. So Abimelech didn't want to go to war with Abraham. He already knew that Abraham was the chosen one, and so that meant not to mess with him very much. Now, only after all that happened, way after that, did they start building here. These ruins we see here today. They started building all this city. But the actual real city we're looking at, all these fancy buildings, fancy for back in those days, it really only came to pass during the time of David and then Solomon. It wasn't during the time of Abraham. Abraham, as we remember, he just pitched his tent here and dug the well. Now look at these things. I really don't know what these are. They're all over this place. These stacks of rocks. I don't know what they represent, what they were supposed to have been. I don't really know. I can't see any information about it. So maybe if one of you guys know what it might be, why don't you make a comment? Let me know. Teach me something. I would really like to know what these are. These little pillars seem to be mainly in the residential area in the homes. They're not in the storehouses or the storage units or in the cisterns, or they're just in the private homes. So I'm sure someone might know what they are. Sure are interesting. And this is where he was when God told him to sacrifice Isaac. He departed from here on a 3-day journey to Jerusalem for that offering. So he traveled towards Jerusalem to Mount Moriah, which we know now is the location afterwards where the Temple Mount was. What a great man, an absolute trust in God. And here we are at the place he pitched his tent and called home. It was his homestead. Wow. So after the return of Israelites to the land of Israel with Moses, there became a kingdom of Israel and of the nation of Israel, and was led by David, King David, and his son Solomon. And as we read in the text in our scriptures, it talks about the land of Israel, and it talks about from Dan to Beersheba. I think it is amazing that the first borders in the history of this world were set by God, as we see in the book of Joshua. So the gates here we see at this city were built about 3,000 years ago by Solomon. So it was amazing to go on this journey here with you at the home of Abraham, and basically where it all began for the people of Israel. It really is emotional to be here and see the product of Abraham's absolute faith and commitment to God. As a believer, I try to see this place as a monument, almost you could say, of what I'm always working towards in my walk with the Lord. And so, amen. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It was really a special one to me, and I'm sure to you too. I hope this has been a blessing to watch. And don't forget to join us on thegoldenreport.com. God bless, and until next week, bye-bye.